Hello everyone. For the proper context for the KinKuni part of the What If I Died challenge, I bring you the prequel one-shot. I hope you will enjoy. Special thanks to all my lovely patrons. You are keeping this channel going. The day actually didn't start off that bad. On the contrary, since Kindaichi managed to wake up early enough to snatch a few precious moments to admire Kunime's peaceful sleeping face as his partner lay in his arms, snuggled to his chest. The early morning sun coming in through the window created a golden halo around Kunime's head, and Kindaichi found himself afraid to even breathe to not destroy the moment. It was a rare sight to see Kunime this relaxed, especially as of late, when Kindaichi started to take notice of the strange tense lines around his partner's eyes. If it was something work-related or something else weighing on Kunime's mind, he had no idea. He wished he knew what was going through Kunime's head. That way, he could do everything in his power to make him happy again, to get rid of that strange shadow occasionally appearing in his eyes when he thought Kindaichi wasn't looking. Alas, he didn't possess such talent and was forced to sit tight and wait until Kunime told him himself. Of course, he had tried to ask before, but was met with just the usual, "I'm fine, don't worry." He knew all too well. But he didn't push, knowing trying to pry answers from Kunime about his inner turmoils would just lead to more hurt on both sides. And he would be damned if he added to his beloved's distress. Sighing quietly, he ran his fingers through the soft black hair, a tender smile making its way to his face when Kunime scrunched his nose and mumbled something Kindaichi didn't catch before burying his face more into the pillow, reminding Kindaichi of a cat. The most adorable cat in the world. If only he slept as well too. That would be amazing. He resisted the urge to lean in for a kiss, unable to bring himself to wake Kunime up just yet, and instead carefully untangled himself from both the sheets and Kunime's arms to finally get moving. While he would love to stay in the bed the whole day, doing nothing but snuggling Kunime and enjoying the closeness of their bodies, he had work that day and had to get up. Moments like these really made him wish he could be a full-time pro player. Though, he would have to get up for practices instead too. There's no winning here, I guess. How annoying. He tried to move as quietly as possible, and yet, when he settled in the kitchen to have a quick breakfast, he could hear the light tapping of bare feet coming down the stairs behind his back. Why so early? Smiling, Kindaichi turned around after the sleep-heavy voice and extended his arm in a silent invitation. Kunime didn't hesitate a bit and, still wiping the sleep out of his eyes, sat down on Kindaichi's lap, immediately wrapping himself around him like an octopus. You didn't have to get up yet, you know. You can still get some sleep. Kunime grumbled into the crook of his neck. You left. It's cold there. I bought you spare blankets, remember? The fluffy ones you like. You... Chuckling quietly, Kindaichi left a light kiss in Kunime's hair. Alright, sorry. You know I would gladly stay here with you, but I have to go to work. Can't you stay at home for once? I'd get fired if I did. But I promise I'll try to come home early today. We could go somewhere if you want. Kunime hummed into his neck and tightened the embrace, making Kindaichi's heart flutter. It wasn't like Kunime wasn't cuddly, but something about the way he was in the morning, just after waking up, urged Kindaichi to just smother him with affection and not let go of him for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, their time in the morning was limited. He gently tapped on Kunime's thigh, leaving another kiss on his temple. I have to go now, or I'll not make it in time. Kunime didn't move an inch, a soft whine leaving his mouth. Don't wanna. Aki. Fine. Grumbling under his breath, Kunime slowly got up from his lap, his face telling Kindaichi just how unwilling he was to let go, which was a sentiment he shared wholeheartedly. He leaned down to kiss Kunime properly this time, before grabbing his bag and phone. I think I'll be able to make it home before 5 if everything goes well. You better be. I'll make dinner. Kindaichi's heart skipped a beat upon hearing the soft tone Kunimi announced it with. Ever since he expressed his worry about Kunimi using knives, they both tried their best to work on a solution together, which ended up being Kunimi telling him whenever he was cooking and calling him while he was in the process to let Kindaichi know fast if something was wrong. So far, it worked surprisingly well to keep Kindaichi's mind calm, and so he smiled and gently caressed Kunimi's cheek. I'm looking forward to it. Call me when you start, okay? I will. But you better have the phone holder with you. It's in the car, don't worry. Good. Now go before I change my mind about letting you work. Kindaichi snickered and playfully rushed to the hallway as if he was afraid Kunimi might hold him back with force. Though the truth was, while Kunimi had quite some power in his body, they both knew Kindaichi would just drag him along if he tried to hold him home. And besides, no matter how clingy he was, Kunimi would never let him miss work on purpose. And so, giving his fiancée a short wave of goodbye, he headed out to their car. The traffic that evening was absolutely awful. Kindaichi clenched his hands on the steering wheel, wondering why everyone had to drive somewhere just when he was going home. Well, if it isn't hypocritical. He took a deep breath to calm down and slowly continued through the jam, hoping the rest of the way after one particularly nasty crossroads was going to go fine. He occasionally glanced at the time, waiting for his phone to ring. At least there would be something nice about being stuck here. As if on cue, the picture he had set for Kunimi's contact, one he took a few years ago during a vacation, flashed on the screen, immediately raising his mood. Yep, I'm listening. Nice to hear you too. How was your day? Mine was fine. Thank you for asking. Kindaichi couldn't help but snort a short laugh. Sorry, I thought I could leave the more detailed talk on when I get home. Though when I look at the gem, it might take longer than I thought. Bummer. But what else do you want to talk about? I don't know. We don't have to talk. I just like to listen to you talking to yourself when you cook. Even better when you start humming. There was a short pause at the other end, only interrupted by barely hearable clapping of something Kindaichi couldn't identify by sound alone. You... really? Yeah? It's adorable, and I love to listen to your voice. Don't make fun of me. I'm not. I'm completely serious. Why would I lie to you about something like that? I don't know. You just never said anything about it before. Kindaichi's heart ached with Kunimi's words. He knew well why he didn't mention it to his partner before, but that didn't change anything on the fact that Kunimi was still thinking about what some stupid bullies back in middle school told him. Because I know you'd become self-conscious about your speech if I told you, one way or another. I don't want that. I love your voice as it is. He could swear he heard the blush in Kunimi's huff, which made him smile. He breathed a sigh of relief when the road ahead of him cleared to the point he wasn't jumping half a meter per 5 minutes in the jam. Ramming his fingers into the steering wheel, he stopped at the last big crossroads on red, his heartbeat speeding up a bit with excitement. Well, either way, it looks like the way is getting better. Might not take me that long after all. Okay, but I already started, so I am not waiting for you to get here. So cruel, Aki. Are you that hungry you can't wait 10 minutes for your beloved fiancé? A soft chuckle came through the speaker. I'm not, but because I know you are hungry too, I want to have something ready before you arrive. Kindaichi pressed his lips together, the red light in front of him getting a tiny bit fuzzy. He saw a fast movement from the corner of his eye, but didn't pay attention, too preoccupied by the fact he was probably melting. Oh, Aki, you are so sweet when... The rest of the sentence got lost in the sudden screeching of tires on his right side, followed by a loud crash and more screeching of metal against metal. Sharp pain shot through his whole body before he blacked out, the last thing he heard being Kunimi's voice crying his name. His memories were more than just foggy. He recalled the faces of the paramedics as he slipped in and out of unconsciousness, his body feeling like it was on fire in those rare moments when he could feel something, though he would be much more glad if he didn't. And then there weren't any paramedics anymore. His body wasn't bouncing around. In fact, he couldn't feel anything. He didn't get to think about it, as in the next moment, he slipped back into darkness. A soft voice cut through the empty nothingness of his mind. Or perhaps it was just humming, as he couldn't discern any words. But it sounded so familiar, like home. He latched onto the voice as if he was a drowning man catching the rescue rope thrown to him over the board, refusing to let go even as his mind begged him to return to the dark limbo. Leave me. Please. At first, he couldn't tell what he was looking at. The space in front of his eyes was white, with nothing on it, even as his vision slowly cleared from the black fog in it. He blinked a few times, even that tiny movement costing him more strength and willpower than he would ever imagine. But nothing changed. It was only when his brain slowly caught up, he realized he was looking at a ceiling. Then, a light warm tingling appeared around his hand. He strained his remaining strength to move his fingers, and to his surprise, the warmth even intensified. You here. He took a few seconds to collect himself, trying to sort out the absolute mess his mind was after his senses apparently started to return. The beeping next to him, the dull pressure on his chest, the stinging in his leg, the pain throbbing through his skull, and also the warmth spreading through his arm, and the soft voice still talking to him, slowly but surely chasing everything else to the background as he held onto it and let it lead him into full consciousness. You. Don't rush. Please. He could feel something lightly touching his cheek and turned his head a tiny bit, wincing when pain ran through his neck. But the source of the voice was there, in flesh, as beautiful as always, despite his reddened eyes and dark circles under them, despite his skin being several shades paler than he remembered, and the glistening wet trails running down his cheeks. He tried to open his mouth, say Kunimi's name to get him come closer, but his voice refused to listen. Kunimi quickly shook his head and briefly laid his fingers over his lips to stop him. Don't strain yourself, okay? Just take your time. Don't rush. Everything is fine, I promise. Kindaichi's heart ached upon hearing the choked undertone in his voice, but listened and instead focused on clearing his mind and trying to learn where he was without turning his head. He didn't recognize anything, but the white paint on the pretty much empty wall and the other bed behind Kunimi's back suggested he was, in fact, in a hospital. Oh. Kunimi immediately squeezed his hand, the touch being the source of the warm tingling, Kindaichi realized. Shh, please, don't talk yet. Just tell me if something hurts so I can call the doctor over if something. His eyes filled with tears. He looked away quickly, but Kindaichi wasn't blind, and his heart shattered to pieces at the sight of his beloved crying. Aki. It's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. He hastily wiped his eyes and turned back. How do you feel? The doctor said they gave you some strong painkillers, but if something hurts, you have to tell me. She said you have a few nasty injuries too, so if anything feels wrong. Making as little movement as possible, Kindaichi shook his head. Just can't move too much. A wet, humorless chuckle escaped Kunimi's mouth. I'm not surprised. I saw the crash in the news 2 days ago. It looked horrible. 2 days? Crash? You don't remember? I Just you calling. And then the sound. Kunimi clenched his jaw, his other hand clenching convulsively. I guess that's a good result in the end. The doctor said you have a serious concussion and that there's a chance you might have amnesia. But you remember, right? Other than that crash. Yeah, I think so. Some of the previous tension seemed to leave Kunimi's face. All right, that's good. What else? What else? About your injuries? Yeah. She said 3 broken ribs and your pelvic bone, shattered femur and knee, some torn muscles and strained neck, and ruptured spleen. It's mostly on your right side since the hit. He took a shuddered breath, squeezing Kindaichi's hand tighter as if looking for an anchor. Kindaichi wished nothing more than to return the squeeze, to tell Kunimi everything was all right. But all he could force his fingers to do at that moment was a weak grip. But even that seemed to do the trick, as Kunimi dried his eyes and pushed his chair closer to the bed. Do you want something? Anything? I'll get it for you. Anything you want. There was only one thing Kindaichi wanted. Stay here. Please. Kunimi looked surprised for a beat, but then just nodded and caressed the back of his hand with his thumb, even attempting a smile. Okay, I will, for as long as you want. Just tell me when you need something, okay? I'll do my best to get it for you. I know. He knew that better than anyone.